Hello and welcome to Ireland, our Éire. This land is full of ancient wisdoms and old ways, ways that are borrowed from the mountains and the sea and the rivers and the lakes and the land. We knew things back then that perhaps we've lost touch with today. And in that time there were many tribes, many clans. There was the O'Toomas, the O'Rins, the Lunchigs, the O'Sulawines, and the Gillans, and I'm from that tribe myself. Of course, we also had the Murracoos and the O'Briens, and many that I can't remember just now. In the 1800s, there came on Gorta Mór the big hurt, the Irish famine, and people died on the sides of the road or on their way to the boats to get out, to get to a new land. One family that were deciding what they would do was the Clan O'Brien. They decided that they would go to Cork City and then onwards to Cove, and that the healthy branch of the family would leave on one of the big ships and go to the new world, to the promised world. And so they set off. On the quays of Cove, they had a little wake. They threw their arms around one another and kissed one another. Little wisdoms were passed, and entreaties never to forget. Do not forget where you have come from. Bring our songs and our stories, and remember us, they said. Mr. O'Brien, he walked to the top of the headland that overlooks Cove, and he could see bobbing in the Atlantic there the ship that would take his family away. He watched as they moved onto that ship, showing the O'Brien colours, and he began to weep. And as he wept, a great wind came up over the Atlantic Ocean. It began to rise up as the sky darkened grey, coming down to meet the wind. It wasn't to drown his words, you understand. Oh no, instead it was to receive his last words. Tá ocras arm. Tá ocras ma anam, ma có. Tá ocras an down oring. Cowriglum, cowriglem a clan, tor cower lemodina, he said. And then he stretched out his hand and with his last act gave his words to Nos na Gaoithe, the way of the wind. He fell then into the waiting, wet lands of Éire as his people sailed across the Atlantic Ocean. But his words sailed too. They sailed in the wind to the new land that was an old and ancient land, to the people that lived there before they ever saw a white face. Sitting cross-legged was grandfather Choctaw, and he was listening to the rustle of the wind as it played through the leaves on the branches of the trees. Hey-ya, 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 ya, hey-ya, hey-yo-ho. Hey-ya, 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 hey-yo-ho. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. Cowrig, cowrig long, cowrig lemodina, tor cower doing anish. Ta ocras mór oring, ocras an down, cowrig, cowrig ring. Hey-ya, 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 ya, hey-ya, hey-ya, ho. Hey-ya, 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 ho. And Grandfather Choctaw put his hands up to heaven and called on the ancients. What do those beautiful words mean? He said. And then he slept on it. And in his dream time, a man came to him, an old man with a gaunt face, with hollowed out eyes. Help me, he said. I am starving. My people are starving. Our elders are falling at the side of the road. Our children are getting no start in life. We are dying from hunger. Help us. Help us. Hey-ya, 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 ya, hey-ya, hey-ya, ho. Hey-ya, 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 ho. When Grandfather Choctaw got up, this story and these images were still playing in his mind's eye as he gathered his belongings and his old river stick, for that was the day that they would head out on the Trail of Tears. He gathered his people and he told them of the story. And they said, Grandfather, that man on the horse there, he is from Cork. He watched our elders fall and gave them a kick for good measure. And Grandfather, that man there, that man on that horse, he is from Antrim, and he watched as the children ran away over the edge of the hill to get away from this trail of tears. And you want us to help them. And Grandfather Choctaw went to each one of his people and looked deep into their eyes. And he said, if you do not do different from these people, how can you be classed as different? I will let you to think about this. And his people, they thought about it as they walked on the Trail of Tears and realized that they did not want to be like these people, that they wanted to hold on to the elegance of spirit that they had inherited from the ancestors. So even though they didn't have a lot, they gathered everything that they did have. They pooled it together and they came up with the enormous sum of $176. From this, they hired a great ship and filled it with corn and sent it across the Atlantic Ocean to the starving Irish people. And it was received with gratitude from those people in Ireland, my people. The great ship came into Cove, the deepest harbour, and it was distributed right through the island of Ireland. It saved lives, and today Indian corn still waves in the fields of Era. In 2020, a call went out from the Hopi Nation and the Navajo people. Our elders are sick, they said. They are stuck in small places with children in the middle of this COVID crisis. They have little to eat. They have no running water. Help us to help them. First, one little note came in from Ireland. We have never forgotten. Here's my small contribution. And then another little love note, and then another one, until there was tens of love notes coming in. You are our family. We have never forgotten. Thank you from my ancestors to your elders. They just kept coming, little bits of money and rivers of love notes. because you see, we are kindred spirits.
Oh, Father dear, I often hear you speak of Aaron's Isle, our lofty seas and valleys green, our mountains rude and wild. They say it is a lovely place wherein the king might dwell. Oh, why did you abandon it? The reason to me tell. In 1847, the Irish famine, or the Great Hunger, and Gorta Mór was at its height. It's estimated that 1 million people died and 1 million more emigrated, but figures probably much, much higher. At the same time, 1,000 Choctaw people, the last of their entire nation, were being moved from their tribal lands along the Mississippi, hundreds of miles away to Indian territory in what is now Oklahoma. The Choctaw were the first native people to be forcibly moved off their lands by the American government to make way for white settlers. They were the first people to embark on a trail of tears that saw hundreds of thousands of Native Americans die on the long walks to their reservations in Indian territory. Nevertheless, when the Choctaw people heard about the famine in Ireland and about the terrible trials those far-off people were enduring, they felt a deep empathy and connection. When they sent their donation to the Irish Relief Fund, they started a decades-old relationship with the Irish nation. And in June 2017, a sculpture consisting of 8 20-foot high stainless steel eagle feathers in the shape of a bowl was unveiled in Middleton, County Cork. It is called Kindred Spirits, and it commemorates the Choctaws' act of humanity. And a 20-strong delegation from the Choctaw Nation attended the ceremony. And when I heard about this story only 2 weeks ago from my friend Maria Gillan, I was moved to write this song, which I have also entitled Kindred Spirits. I was just a boy, I didn't understand when my father said, "Be brave, son, we must leave our land. No more hunting by the river for the beaver and the deer. We took all we could carry, our long trail of tears. My people walked in silence, was the Choctaw way. Our white fathers had commanded, we had to obey. So many of our elders, children fell along the trail. My mother was among those passed beyond the veil. Kindred sorrows, kindred tears, kindred longings, kindred fears, kindred spirits on a trail of tears. We left behind our mother mound, built of earth and stones, birthplace of the nation, our ancestors' bones bore away songs we used to sing. We held on to the Choctaw faith, every living thing. Kindred sorrows, kindred tears, kindred longings, kindred fears, kindred spirits on a trail of tears. When we heard the cries of hunger from a land beyond the waves, broken as we were ourselves, we sent all we could raise. We walked beside those strangers on their distant trail of tears. My father said we were brothers now, across the miles and years. Kindred sorrows, kindred tears, kindred longings, kindred fears, kindred spirits on a trail of tears. When we learned of Ireland's troubles, of the valleys green, her mountains and her rivers, just like home it seemed. Her people just like us, were chaff blowing on the wind. Pain and torment cares not for the color of our skin. Kindred sorrows, kindred tears, kindred longings, kindred fears, kindred spirits on a trail of tears. Kindred sorrows, kindred tears, kindred longings, kindred fears, kindred spirits on a trail of tears. Kindred spirits, kindred spirits.
Oh, Colin, I just love that song, and I have loved that it came to you from the Choctaw perspective, as I was telling the story from the Irish perspective. And it's so important to have that, you know, that if we have those connections and we can bring them forward in story and song, then they won't be forgotten.
Well, thank you again, Maria, for planting that tiny little seed in my head a couple of weeks ago. Just one sort of sentence that and started me on the journey to find out about the Choctaw. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Welcome.